Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one. Back with another one. Another topic about, let's say, the Hannibal's Punic Wars explained by Hannibal, and then we're talking about the what's the other thing? The Celts and the Gauls. Some people pronounce them Gauls, but I say the Gauls or the Celts or whatever you want to call it, or some people pronounce it as Celts. It don't matter, you know. If you call them Celts or Celts, but some people pronounce them as Celts. There's no K, and I'm just gonna say Celts. I don't give a damn when nobody likes it or not. Some people pronounce it as Celts, like the Irish. They ain't those people, so we need to kill that. I call them Celts. They call the basketball the Boston Celtics. I always say Celtic culture. I don't even use the word Celt. That's they shit. Trying to mispronounce. Like I'm sick of that. That's that BS from these heathens and these Gentiles. But I'm not gonna argue. But we're gonna talk about some history. I'm just rambling on that part. I just can't stand. But you're gonna have some idiots. But if I see another idiot try to comment, he's getting blocked or removed. I'm not having it. Y'all can't dictate what I be saying on here. Go to another channel. I'm not one of these channels that you ain't gonna like. It ain't for everybody. It's for the select few. Like I told you, I come here for the select few that's willing to listen, spread it around, share it with your peoples, and that's it. I ain't for everybody. That's why YouTube is vast. But you idiots are so brainwashed by the other nonsense. That's just what it is. But I'm gonna speak my mind on this. Well, the Hannibal thing, I talked about this 3 years ago and explained why I did it. I mean, I'm not gonna show my videos because apparently it gets flagged or whatever it is, or showing it is a lag on my side. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to dictate what's what on here, but yeah, I gotta get some time. So we 2 minutes in. Okay, we good. So we're gonna share this real quick. Um, let's see something real quick. Yeah, the Hannibal. My stomach is crickling. So we'll go back to Hannibal in a minute, but the rise. Okay, I'm gonna go on my end for a minute. Let's pick up the screen because I'll share it in and out and then tit for tat. So we talked about the Hannibal Punic Wars, and this is by Hannibal Barca, The Military Genius by Adel Beshara. It's a book by this guy. Shouts out the real history, www.com for this little information right here. And I talked about this in the live stream, whatever, Hannibal. You had a panel and everything. So it's pretty much, it's all the stuff you need to know. So keep my head from itching. Okay, Carthage before Hannibal, and then I had a book called The Timbuktu to back up Has Durable and all this other stuff, and and explain it. But excuse me, right quick. I'm gonna go on mute, and I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm just gonna like trying to see where Hannibal is, and try to pick up where I left off. So you know how that goes. Hold on for a minute. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I didn't want to play that in the background, so I had to mute. It's pretty much like, has so many distractions right there, but yeah, it just goes to show you. Let's see, the 12th printing. Rudolph R. Windsor, this old book that I have and shit like that ordered, and talking about historical stuff, evidence. Babylon Timbuktu, good book, good book. P.O. Box, Atlanta, Georgia. That's ancient black races and all that, dark races. So Hannibal. Where's they got the slave trade. We talked about that last week. Danite and all this other stuff. Okay. Whoo! Phoenicians and all this other stuff. Conclusion, epilogue, and all that. Let's see. Talk about North Africa, birth of Islam, and there's some truth about that. There's different variations of Islam. Let's see, North Africa. Y'all just bear with me. I'm trying to see where the Phoenicians and all that, the Berbers and Herodotus. Okay. Let's see, chapter. I'm trying to say Black Civilization, Abraham. Land of the Nile, Old Kingdom. Expulsions and shit like that. Like, I'm just trying to find where Yorubas of Nigeria talked about that. Oh, I got books on that. Conclusion, epilogue. Okay, I'm trying to find. Okay, what chapters is on? I'm trying to find the chapters, y'all. Just bear with me because this is going to be very tricky. So I has durable. Yeah, it has durable come from this. Okay. So I'm just trying to see what's what here. Sumer and Kish. We're gonna talk about Sumer in the future. They try to say the origin of the so-called white races. I mean, he has it all scattered out, and that's what these guys on the street use as a reference. I got other sources as well. We got sources over here, so let's not act like you know. Mhm. Trying to see birth of Islam, Mohammed, and all this other stuff. Okay. I'm trying to see. Ramesses II, 19th dynasty, Kush, Ethiopia. Retention. I can't find it right now. So, it's in this book, but I can't find it. So I'm just going to explain it in a detailed way. I've had it. I forget the marking of it. So yeah, it has durable Hannibal, talks about the genius and talks about the rise of Hannibal. Yes, it's in the army of Theropon, and it said unanimously chose Hannibal to be that the general in spite of his youth. Because of the shrewdness and the courage which has shown in their service. They just showing you pieces of the coin Hannibal and all this. So they said no, there are no known authentic images of Hannibal, and there's no proof that the Carthaginian coins shows the likeness. However, these coins do exist, and logically, who else be who else but the great Hannibal would put a coin? Certainly not an ordinary elephant rider. So basically, they said this is Hannibal right here. They ain't got no early depictions of Hannibal, so it's like it's not that much. Like I said, it's a lot of dug in the ground and things of that nature. So you get to see a lot of stuff that goes on, right? Early depictions of Hannibal, but my back is all kind of geed up. So my fucking back is geed up right now. It's like it's twisting in the air, but you know how it is. Crossing the Alps. That was 218 BCE into Spain and all this other stuff, and the Cannae and all that. Let's see something real quick. Well, let's go to the chapter, shall we? Let's go to the chapter and back up the statements of Hannibal, the Moorish Empire. The city language of Hannibal. Okay. It's 107. Let's get a source right here. 107. Aha. Let's read this right here. The city, a language of Hannibal. At the ruins of Carthage, the Carthaginians, like they said earlier, okay. At the city of the language of Hannibal, at the ruins of Carthage, the archaeologists have found about 1,000 inscriptions in ancient language of Canaan and Naum, and Scott says that these inscriptions date from the time of Nehemiah of Simeon, just of Hannibal and has durable. See, I got has durable in this Babylon Timbuktu. So this confirms what I'm reading. Shouts out to realhistory.com. He's got different sources on here as well. See, we're backing this based off evidence. So it has durable. And says Schultz, and most valuable of all, we have found again the ancient language of the writing of Canaan and the rich idiomatic speech of a city which once counted 700,000 inhabitants. But we Hebrew writers, we who wrote and write and feel in our biblical tongue, have recognized that once that this recalled Phoenician language is nothing more nor less than Hebrew, a pure Hebrew dialect, nearly the name as spoken in the country of, they would say country of Israel or Yisrael, should say, but they put Israel in here, the country of Israel. But the population of Carthage was derived from Palestine, and its civilization was Hebraic in origin. But Schultz incertains after such research that the language of Hannibal spoke, which he directed his troops, was Hebrew. That's what he said. There's some evidence back that's up too. Was Hebrew, right? But there's evidence that the Carginians possessed a high priesthood, and their ceremonies and sacrifices were similar to the rituals found in the book of Leviticus. But according to some inscriptions of the Hebrew tribes of Asher and Zebulun, were in Carthage. From the foundation of the city at ruins of Carthage was ex- excavated many inscriptions containing many Hebrew names such as Job, Joas, and Joel. or in the Hebrew language, they would be pronounced Y. It'd be like Yob, Yoez, and Yoel, or something like that. There'll be Y instead of a hook. But the city of Tunis is said to be neither Arab nor European. Tunis is a, they say Jewish city, but but nowhere else does the Jew feel at home. He does in Tunis. So yeah, they use the J this, J that, but it's no such thing as a Jew. They just added that. But this guy, based off modern text, that's what he said: Jew this, Jew that. I won't gloss over it. And basically, what we're saying, it's not that much to read. Then the Moorish Empire, the Kingdom of Fez and all that. So it'd be on page 107 on Babylon Tickbook 2. Talk about the city of Hannibal. So this backs up, and it talks about has durable and all this other stuff. So yeah, I used this book, and the sources up here, they said invasion of Italy in the first engagement. They said troops of Hannibal and the cavalry won a minor victory over Scipio's forces near the Tugnicius River, but this was followed by decisive victory at the Turbia River, December 218 BCE, over the Roman legions led by Scipio and Cyprianus, who was recalled from Sicily. But when Hannibal invaded Italy, Hannibal's superior numbers in cavalry, his skill, and the combined use of cavalry, but infantry were key factors in his success at the Trebia. As it said, as in the later victories, Hannibal had decided to advantage in the northern Italy. Yeah, that's what Rome is. The northern Italy part, where the Gauls were friendly to be caused by the Roman cavalry and could operate in broader plains. But the Romans therefore decided to withdraw the central Italy, and await Hannibal's, who began to cross the Apennines and then the spring in 217. But the mountains again proved costly, both for his army and personally to Hannibal, who had led the sight in one eye from the infection. But the Roman consuls for 217, Carius Aphenius and Servilius Germanius, has stationed themselves at the Artinium and Arnemium to the guard both possible routes in the west and in the east by Hannibal, but might across an appearance of Hannibal selected Flaminius, the western route, but to the consuls were refused to give the battle alone. Boy, allowing Hannibal to pass, but Flaminius followed and harassing the Carginian army and hoping that the meeting Gemmius further south, where they would jointly give battle. But however, Hannibal ambushed Flaminius in a narrow pass in the lake, but Atramius, and then destroy almost his entire army of 25,000 by Rome. But Quintius Fabius Maximus was elected dictator by the Centuriated Assembly, and rather than join in battle with Hannibal, who had been marched south into Apulia, he decided on a policy of the cautions of the harassment that would keep Deep Hannibal moving and a gradual wearing him down. But Hannibal moved from Aquilia and into Campania, followed and watched by the Fabius, who finally battled him up in the area unfavorably to the cavalry and decided to give battle. But at night, however, Hannibal sent oxen towards Fabian's army, and then with the burning sticks tied their horns and with the Romans, and then investigated what they concerned. Yeah, so the Battle of Cannae talks about all that stuff. I talked about this in the live stream. Y'all can check that Dark History thing right there. The Third Punic War. Yes, he lost the Third Punic War. The Second Punic War, Scipio and all that, has durable, and all this course. But that's what you get to see, the African elephants describing what they're saying. That's what they were back then. And then you have all this stuff over here, and then you have the elephant stuff in history. So basically, what I'm saying is the reason I did Hannibal, we're talking about him briefly. We're not going to stay on him too long because I talked about him already. In other recordings, you can watch my old stuff and knew what I say about has durable. I read the most of the stuff. It's no need. I can tell you a lot about Hannibal. Hannibal's a good topic because it's easy to learn, a little history and things like that. Then the crossing the Alps. but I can back up what I'm saying right here. But this is one of my favorites to study strategy war. You capitalize on it, and yeah, I'll put it in capitalism as well. So yeah, so it's like pretty much it. So enough on Hannibal. So we're gonna get the stuff that we need, and over here. And okay, we're gonna talk about the Celts, of course. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about it a little bit. So right now, I'm gonna focus on me. When we get to the Celts part, we're gonna talk about explain a little bit of Europe, a little bit of dark history, because this book explains several things I'm saying, but it's okay, it's all right book. I mean, it's a little historic book, like it's of modern times. At that time, I got this years ago, back in when I started this particular channel, and then I used some of this during the 2012 years. This is 12 years ago. I have this book is about 12 years old, and I still got it. And at the time, I had the Babylon Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor, and all this stuff. That's the source that I come with to back up the Hannibal, and then you see it on the back. They still got it. You can still order it on Amazon or whatever. You can still find your reasons, the sources, and people ask me about a lot of stuff like that. I read every now and then. Yes, I read online, but I also read actual books. I still got some and use them as sources. So, niggas still read. I'm still sharp. No doing drugs, so no none of that. So, let's get right back to the topic. But that's what I'm saying. But with this right here, why we did Hannibal, I'm gonna leave him in the background in a minute. So, I'm taking him off the tab, but we're gonna switch back to Hannibal and things like that. So who were the Celts and the Gauls? Up on they said up until now, nowhere have whites have more successful in a blurred black history than with the Celts and the Gauls. Of course, there was no shortage of whites declaring that they were the white people. That's what they always say, and all this diaries, all that DNA. Okay, let me y'all give me a second. I'm gonna put it back on me. I'm gonna put it back on me. I'm gonna skim through this, and he's talking about the racial stuff. I ain't gonna argue with idiots on here. I'm gonna say, but the statue, what it says on that bronze, which you saw, I'm gonna read what it says. It says the bronze male statuette with a gold mask found at the Cadius Annulus in Spain in 1928, dated in the 8th and 7th century BCE. That's what it's dated to. Black families, as they were found, bone structures. They found the skulls and the Y-DNA. We ain't gonna get into that. That's not important. Y'all can watch. You look at it their own time. But the Celts and the Gauls. So we're gonna get back to it, okay? Because I know people got to get on with their lives, but let's look at the pottery. Let's look at the things that matter. Okay, see how much time we got. Talk about that later. So let me get back into it. Let's see how many minutes we got. Oh, we got 24 minutes. Okay, we're making good time. I ain't gonna spend too much time on it. Okay. Many modern scholars describe the historical Celts as a diverse group of tribal societies in the Iron Age Europe. Proto-Celtic culture formed in the early Iron Age in the Central Europe. But the Hasselstadt period, but the name of the site of the period in present-day Austria, by the later Iron Age, but the Latinian period, Celts have expanded over a wide range of lands. As for the Western Ireland and the Iberian Peninsula, as far as east of the Gatalia, central Anatolia, known as Turkey now, and as far north as Scotland. Okay, this is in Europe, by the way. So let's trace the origins in the Halisat culture. It began with the corded ware culture, but the corded ware culture receives its name corded ware from the frequent use of decorative corded expression impressions on the pots, but which differ from the earliest pit comb ware cults, but a single grave from the burial custom. But the battle of the axe is from its characteristic grave offering to males, but a stone battle axes which they have, by the way, to determining it, insufficient weapons. By the time they had the insufficient weapons, but still traditional status symbol. So they talk about the symbols right there. This is the quarter ware, and this is the stuff that they show right here. And basically, you just have what you have, right? But the quarter ware culture is an enormous European astrological horizon to begin with in the late Neolithic Stone Age, flourishes through the Copper Age and are finally culminates in the early age of the Bronze Age, developing in various areas from about 32 3200 BCE to 2300 BCE, and it represents the instructions of the metal in the Northern Europe corded ware culture. It is commonly associated with the Indo-European family of languages. That's why they call it Indo-European languages. Corded ware culture is the culmination of the interaction of the opening tendencies in the area of Northern Europe and plain, but between the Denmark and Kiev, between the expansionism, the expansion the expansionism. Oh, it's a tongue twister to me. The expansionism in Eastern Europe, but the local Senatonism of the farmers in the West, with the traditional view of the pottery representing the series of pan-European migrations from the steep region of the southern Russia has been abandoned. Also, corded wave culture, but the communities are now seen as sedentary agriculturalists. That's what you got, and that's where it comes from, and the regions that just I just read above, and it's like right up in this area. This is the early part of Asia before it spread out. Then the Cordillera cremic forms in single grass and developed in early Poland and the Western, Southern, Central Europe. Contemporary development of the non-cremic corded wares and Breer like writes in the Western parts have been expelled as a spread of a corded ware culture traced through a wide spanning communications network, but rather than through the migrations of the suggestions to the existence of a horizon, the 28th century BCE, but to be understood to a number of connections from within, but the different regions of context. But it spreads to the Liberic Hyatt and then the further to the northern European plain, but the Rhineland in Switzerland and Scandinavia in the Baltic regions and Russia to Moscow, where the culture has met with a patrolist animal heart is considered, but the individuals of the steep within the people. I mean, the steep that means white people on the most of the main and the continent of expansion all day. Okay. So that's the Celts and the Gauls right here. Talk about those cultures right here. Then you got the Beaker culture, of course. That they explain that that's to 2800 to 1900 BCE around this time. Beaker culture. Not gonna get into that. It says Beaker. The Bell Beaker ware. This is the Bell Beaker ware right here. I'm not gonna read most of that, because I talked about this before on pre-record. You can find it old. And the Utice culture, of course. We'll read a little bit of this. And y'all give me 1 second. I'm gonna go on mute again. And yeah, let me go on mute again. I'll be right back. All right, let's get back to it. I ain't gonna try to lose no time on this. Oh shit, my fault, my fault. The unenticed culture, but the unenticed culture is name given to an early Bronze Age culture, preceded to the Beaker culture, followed by the Tumulus culture. The Epinus is a site located in the unticed northwest of Prague. Prague. It was named find its Anjitsits. I don't know if I said it right, like Anjitsits or Jits or something like that. Anjuts, Bomia. Oh yeah, Bomia, and now it's focused on around the Czech Republic. That's where it is. It's currently known as Czech Republic. It's in that region, but southern and central Germany and western Poland. But it grew the Beaker roots, but it's dated to 2300 to 1600 BCE, Bronze A1, A2 in the chronological of the Renics, Paul Renics and the sky disk of the Nebra associated with the unticed culture. But see, I'll read the blue parentheses right here. It says the 3,600-year-old sky disk of Nebra was uncovered in 1999 and surfaced in 2002 when uh, Germany grave robbers tried to sell it on the international market, and that backfired. That's what it looks like right here. So let's talk about the sky disk of Nebra. That's right here, and of course, and then it has the enigmas of priceless Bronze Age and all that. They talks about it. We ain't gonna go all into it. And then you got the tumulus culture with the horse. Talked about this a little bit in pre-record. You can find all this. I'm gonna get and delve in this more. And then you got the what happened to the Celts in Germany. And they said there were driven west and south by the incoming albino Germanic tribes. That's what they call albino Germanic tribes. Themselves were being chased over the Asia by the Huns of Mongolia. The Huns were a group of nomadic people who migrated into Europe in 370 CE and built up an enormous empire in Europe. But the Huns had a language of their own, but very little. Very little has survived, and relationships have been subjected to debate for centuries. Exactly. So as many in the Huns, and they are estimated in the Great Migration contributing the factor of the collapse of the Western Rome Empire. But they formed a unified empire until Attila the Hun, who died in 453 CE. But their empire broke up the next year, and their descendants of successors similar to their recorded by neighboring populations in the south, east, and west as having occupied parts of Eastern Europe and Central Asia, roughly from the 4th century to the 6th century. Variants of the Hun in name and recorded in the Caucasus with the early 8th century. But the migration period, also called the barbarian invasions, and the Germans and they said the German or on say the Volcarong migration of people was a period of human migration, but they occurred during 300 to 700 CE. That's the era we live in now because we in 2024 CE right now. This is way back now. It's like hundreds and hundreds of years ago in Europe. But the marketing transition from the late antiquity to the early Middle Age, and there are movements where catalyzed profound and changes were both in the Roman Empire and the so-called barbarian frontier, but migrating period during the include of the Huns and the albino Germanic tribes, Goths, Vandals, Avars, Bulgars, Ons, Subia, Friends, and Franks. Also among the Germanic and Slavic tribes, excuse me, Germanic and Slavic tribes. Thus, the Huns and the most whites out of their ancestral lands in Asia and to Europe, causing death, displacement for the natives, blacks in Europe. So that's what happened. It's a typical thing. You see it all the time. You see the picture of the Mongolian people, the ancient Mongolian people, but this is the modernized Mongolian. That's what they look like. So they're Asian people, you know how it is, and latter. And that's what they have in picture, Asia, India. So it's a little bit of everything. I don't want to go too depth. And that's what the Icelanders look like to this today. Most Icelanders look like this today. That's what the Icelanders look like this today. And this is what they also but there's also some who look like this, right? We ain't gonna get into the racial aspect. I'm gonna skip through it. I don't want to talk about that as much. I mean, we talk about it in context and evidence of what we're saying, but we don't need to talk about other groups like that. I already expounded on that on pre-records, and people got controversial and get emotional and things like that. So, yeah, the wet wing woman, 2001 Iron Age, So the ivory Bengal lady, it's nothing to see really the skulls of the Cheddar Man. So we're gonna go to Stonehenge Archer. Let's go to the Stonehenge Archer. Let's get right to it. Okay, Stonehenge Archer. Stonehenge Archer is the name given in the Bronze Age. A man whose body was discovered in the outer ditch. The Stonehenge, unlike most burials in the Stonehenge landscape, and his body was not in the barrel, although it did appear to have been deliberately careful barely into the ditch. But examinations of the skeleton indicates that the man was located in an area in about 30 when he died. But the the radiocarbon data suggests that he died around 2300 BCE, making his death roughly contemporary within the Amsilbury Archer and the Bosacombe Bowman, buried 3 miles away from Amsilbury. But he came into known as an archer because of the stone wrist guard, and the number of the flint arrowheads buried arrowheads buried with him, and the fact that to several of the arrowheads tips that they located into the skeleton bones, suggesting that the man had been killed by them. That's what it says, the Stonehenge. So the Stonehenge right here, you see the archer is 2,400 to 2,000 to 200 BCE. This is a long time ago. This is a different era, the ancient era of that period. So yeah, you got the Cheddar Man, of course. I'm not gonna read most of that. That's in England, of course. I'm gonna read what's in the description. It says a skull comparison. They said white male above, black male, Cheddar Man. The difference of different phenotypes and stuff like that. This is pretty interesting. And then you have the ancient black people of Europe. That's what they projected. Shouts out to this guy, realhistory.com. That's what he projected. They founded all these on research and digging the bones. I talked about this earlier in last week, and the history of writing and all that other stuff. Talk about the historical stuff, and we put that in there. So DNA definitions, haplogroups, and all that stuff. Yeah, Stonehenge and all this stuff. So it's pretty much it. I'm gonna cut it here. Yeah. So what y'all think? Y'all can leave comments, whatever. It's cool. But that's it. That's it on me talking about the historical stuff on Hannibal, a little bit out of this book right here. I have to reference this all the time. I have to bring this out. I put this in the closet, but even though I still read every now and then, I don't even read this as much as I used to. I know the information. I got the source right here. If anybody wants to talk about it, whatever. I could talk about it on the live stream, whatever. I'm not going to talk about Hannibal on a live stream ever again. I did that once, and that's it. And people took it sideways. But I was sticking to the topic at hand, and we got sidetracked with conversation. But it happens. It happens to everybody. But like I said, the Stonehenge is good to know. And shouts out to realhistory.com. The brother is bringing out more research, a little bit of research, but not as much. But I'm seeing what he's got. He adds on to it, but people still searching and digging. If it's something interesting, he'll put out there, whatever. But it's more to talk about, explain my side, why history is so important to learn, that everybody's looking at it now and they panicking what's going on besides the war going overseas, but we ain't gonna mention that. So with that, man, that's it. I'll come you with another one. I'll come up with another topic and expound on what we're seeing right now. So with that, shalom to the people of Israel and the Gentiles until next time. And I will do another one, and we'll talk about more of this historical part of Europe. So with that, until next time, and I'm out.